Glass itself, I think, is an amazing material to work with. It glows and it passes light in a way that other materials just don't. It throws challenges up in that it's a really technical process, but that also means it's scientific as well as creative. I like the idea that you're working with something that's really fragile, but actually really strong. And this process gives me the chance to create lots of pieces. It's quite rare within the glass world that you'll be able to do mass pieces in a handmade process. So I haven't lost the handmade process, but I do get to make a lot of it, and that's really valuable. I also like the idea that there's a right and a wrong. You've either done it right or you haven't. There are different areas when you're working with glass, whether it's like sculpture or fine art, whereas with this process, although it's not always nice when it's wrong, there is a clear answer. Because the glass is handmade, before it reaches us, it can have slight difference in thickness, which ultimately means it behaves differently in the kiln. We can control the heat distribution and how quickly the kiln heats up, but we can't control the thickness of the glass. Therefore, each one is unique. So because we want the shades to have the handmade appearance of the technique, we don't want them to look too uniform, but we also do want them to be similar to each other and have that continuity between each shade. So that was tricky in getting the firing right, so that we had beautiful shades all the way through rather than the odd one that wouldn't work. The other major problem that we had, and it is a challenge in the glass world, is devitification, which is where the top layer crystallizes and it is no longer shiny. And because of the temperatures that we're working with that are unusual in kiln fusing or kiln work, we found that the chartreuse and the amber were becoming devitified. So we had to correct that, and that process involves the sandblasting and the clear powder on the top, which completely eliminates it. So yeah, that's probably the most challenging part of it, along with the firing. So I feel like we push the boundaries quite a lot with this process. We're going to temperatures which you wouldn't normally go to in kiln glass, which means that we have found difficulties on the way and we've had to change the process. Because we go to different temperatures, that makes it different. And considering that we're only firing one piece of glass, it's a very long process, and we have to make sure that the firing is perfect to get the shade that we want. The other thing that's different about this process is the mould. Usually in the glass world, we would slump into a dish or a shape. With this process, we drape over the top, which can be done as a technique, but usually there is more glass in contact with the mould, which we didn't want to do because we didn't want to change the texture of the piece. So we're really reliant on the heating process. One of the difficulties we have found when we scaled up the shades to the grand size is that we have elongated pleats. So part of the process when the shade moves is that we are left with deeper pleats. It's meant that I watch every firing multiple times. So the kiln gets opened and closed at various points and then moved on. So each firing is actually completely individual. We have a base firing, but I will move the firing forward when it's hit the right moment because each disc is individual. So they each behave differently in the kiln. So I think part of working with glass and working specifically in kiln glass is that you never know if a piece has worked until you open that kiln. And that's actually quite exciting. It's also quite scary. So I would say the first feeling that I have is relief, especially with the shades, because I know that a lot of work from various people has gone into this shade. It's not just the process that happens here, it's the product development, it's the sourcing of materials. So I'm really lucky in that I'm the person that gets to open it up and go, it's worked. And I think that is what keeps me making, is that you hope for the best, you plan for the best, you think about it, you overthink it, and then hopefully you've got the product or the piece at the end. So relief and excitement.